When Queen Elowen called for him, the castle did not answer. Her messenger returned with empty hands and a careful face, as if even speaking King Valerius's name might bruise the air. Guards found reasons to look away. Servants worked too quietly, polishing silver that already shone. Beyond the tall windows, the river kept its steady hush, and the pines moved as if they were guarding an old secret. The world had always assumed the vampire king did not hear anyone. In the villages beyond the mountain pass, mothers still used his name to quiet children who strayed too far at dusk. Traders touched charms when the fortress shadow crossed the road. Priests spoke of him in warnings, a monster who ruled the night, cold and hungry, untouched by mercy. Yet Elowen's message had been simple, sealed in wax, written in her steady hand. The lanterns on the east bridge have gone out. The fishermen will return after moonrise. If you can spare a thought, spare it for them. No panic. No demand. Only concern for strangers. She received his silence the way she had learned to receive most things inside those walls, calmly, without complaint. But as she stood at the arched window, watching the bridge's dark line in the distance, a quiet sadness settled in her chest. No lanterns. A river that did not care who slipped. And a world convinced her husband cared for nothing at all. So she took a shawl and a small lamp and told her lady-in-waiting, Mara, that she wanted air. "Your Grace, the night," Mara began, eyes wide. "The night isn't my enemy," Elowen said gently. "And the bridge won't relight itself." Two guards followed at a careful distance, silver charms on their throats. They passed tapestries of heroic hunters, images that made the castle feel like it belonged to fear more than truth, then stepped out onto the road, where dust and moonlight lay peacefully together. As Elowen walked toward the bridge, she saw roadside offerings left by villagers, bowls of salt, garlic wreaths, little carved saints. They were meant to keep the king away. And yet the road was safe enough for a queen to walk it with only a lamp. Halfway there, Mara lagged behind, fingers shaking as she adjusted her shoe strap. "How do you live in that castle and not tremble?" she whispered. "I did tremble," Elowen admitted. "At first. I waited for something dreadful, because everyone promised me dread." "And then?" Mara asked. "Then nothing dreadful happened," Elowen said. "Nothing at all." It was true. On Elowen's first night in the fortress, she had found her rooms lit with lavender-scented candles. A tray of warm bread and honey sat outside her door, and a note in neat ink. "Eat. Sleep. No one will enter without your permission." No trick followed. No footsteps came. Only space, carefully given. Over time she noticed other quiet mercies. Servants weren't punished for mistakes. Guards were paid on time. Villages were left untouched despite their suspicion. And in the harshest winter weeks, unmarked wagons of grain appeared at the poorest doors. People said the vampire king was buying souls. But Elowen had once seen a cloaked driver from her window, lifting sacks with patient care, tucking a blanket around a sleeping child. Moonlight had caught the driver's pale hand, steady, almost trembling, as if even cold could reach him in ways stories never allowed. At last they reached the east bridge. The lantern post stood dark, making the stones over the river feel narrow and uncertain. Downstream, fishing boats drifted toward home, faint shapes on black water. "We should go back," Mara whispered. "Send men in the morning." "The men will come," Elowen said, lifting her lamp, "but the fishermen will cross tonight." She opened the nearest lantern housing, ready to pour in oil, then stopped. There was already oil inside. Fresh. She checked the wick. It had been trimmed neatly, prepared by hands that knew how flames should breathe. "Someone did this," she murmured. "But why didn't they light them?" Mara asked. Elowen looked along the bridge. One by one, each lantern was the same, filled, trimmed, ready. Like a kindness paused just before it became visible. A chill brushed Elowen's neck, not fear, but recognition. She thought of the small, unexplained comforts in the castle, a cup of tea appearing when someone was exhausted, a missing scarf folded neatly on a chair, Mara's lost locket returned and polished without anyone admitting they touched it. Kindness that did not want to be seen. Elowen lit the first lantern with her lamp. The flame caught quickly, brightening into a gentle glow. Then she moved to the next, and the next, walking the bridge in steady silence until the whole span became a softly lit path over the moving river. By the time she reached the far bank, the fishermen's boats were close enough that she could hear their quiet talk and the soft knock of oars. "That's strange," Mara breathed. Elowen didn't answer. She listened. Behind the reeds, someone shifted, no growl, no threat, only the sound of a patient presence deciding whether to remain hidden. Elowen. Her name came quietly, spoken as if it were something fragile. She turned. A tall figure stood at the edge of the river grass. No crown. No armor. No theatrical cloak. Only plain dark clothes and pale hair catching lantern light like winter moon. His eyes were the color of deep water under ice, clear, watchful, tired. Mara stepped back, fingers tightening on her silver charm. Elowen didn't move. Around Valerius, the night felt strangely calm. "I heard your message," he said. Mara's voice trembled. "Then why didn't you answer?" Valerius kept his gaze on Elowen. "Because the castle listens," he said softly. "People build their fear into walls. If I answer you the way they expect, they will twist it into another story." Elowen's throat tightened. "So you chose silence." "I choose it often," he admitted. "Then why are you here?" Mara asked, sincere despite her fear. Valerius glanced at her, and his expression was not cruel, only apologetic. "Because the lanterns were out," he said. "And because she asked." "I thought you didn't care," Elowen confessed. Valerius lowered his eyes as if he'd carried that misunderstanding for a long time. "I care," he said. "But caring is dangerous for someone like me." He spoke with careful honesty. The world feared him, he explained, and fear kept people at a distance. It stopped them from trying to use him, turning him into a weapon for war, a monster for their politics. If they believed he was cruel, they would leave him alone. And he could leave them alone, too. Mara swallowed. "The grain wagons," she whispered. "The medicine in Briar Hollow. The child found after the avalanche." Valerius looked away, as if kindness embarrassed him more than any insult. Elowen stepped closer, lantern light catching the fine lines near his eyes. "You prepared the lanterns," she said. "I came earlier," he admitted. "But if someone saw me light them, they would scream. They would wake the villages. A simple act would become a parade of fear. So you left the last step for me, Elowen said softly. Prepared, but unfinished. His silence answered. In that moment Elowen understood what his quiet had cost, how often he had chosen to help without being seen, even if it meant being misunderstood by the one person closest to him. You didn't ignore me, she said, regret gentle in her voice. You were protecting the moment from becoming a spectacle. Valerius's gaze lifted. For a heartbeat he looked less like a feared king and more like a man who had practiced loneliness until it became habit. Some kindness must be done like prayer, he said. Quietly. Without witnesses. Mara's hand slipped from her charm. Then why marry her, she asked, almost pleading. Why bring her into this? Valerius's voice turned low, as if confession needed dim light. Her father offered her as peace, he said. If I refused, he would have sent another, and the world would say I demanded a bride as tribute. They would raise armies. People would die in my name. He looked at Elowen with a steady sorrow. So I accepted. And I swore she would not pay for it. Not with fear. Not with her life. Elowen's eyes stung. She remembered the distance, the empty nights, the way she'd wondered if she was unwanted. You never came to my chambers, she whispered. No, he said simply. I thought you found me repulsive. Pain crossed his face like a shadow over moonlight. I find you bright, he said carefully. And there is hunger in me that I manage. Every night. I would rather be lonely than risk harming what I promised to protect. The fisherman reached the near bank then, laughing tiredly, hauling nets that glimmered with silver fish. They paused when they saw the bridge lit, and one lifted a hand in gratitude to the light, never knowing who had filled the lanterns. Instinctively, Valerius stepped deeper into the reeds, half hidden again. Elowen watched the men cross safely, boots tapping stone. Then she turned back to Valerius, standing like an apology in the grass. Stay, she said. He didn't move. If they see you, Mara began. They will only see what they already believe, Elowen said gently. Not the oil, not the grain, not the medicine. Only fear. Elowen made a small, steady choice. She lifted her lamp and walked back onto the bridge toward the fishermen, meeting their wary glances with calm. I came to make sure the lanterns were lit, she told them. The river is unforgiving. Someone muttered, they say he walks here sometimes. Elowen nodded as if that were weather. This land has many guardians, she said. Some you see. Some you don't. She didn't ask them to love the unseen guardian. She only asked them to cross safely. And somehow, that was enough. When the last fisherman reached the far side, he glanced back at Elowen in the lantern glow. He didn't make a warding sign. He simply touched two fingers to his brow in a quiet gesture of respect and went on. Elowen returned to the reeds. Valerius watched her with something like wonder. You didn't have to do that, he murmured. I did, she said. Because I'm tired of being protected by silence that makes me feel unwanted. Grief tightened his face. I never wanted that. I know, Elowen said, surprised by her own certainty. I know now. She looked at his hands, pale, steady. Hands the world would call cursed. Hands that filled lanterns and carried grain and returned what was lost. What would it feel like, she asked gently, to be seen without fear. Valerius's voice was almost too quiet. Like something I don't deserve. Then let me see you, Elowen said. He hesitated. You will grow older, he whispered. You will leave me behind. Then let the time I have be honest, Elowen replied. Not a story told by strangers. After a long moment, Valerius stepped out of the reeds and into the lantern light. Nothing dramatic happened. No sudden change. Only the quiet bravery of a man allowing himself to be present. Elowen reached out slowly, giving him every chance to pull away. When her fingers touched his hand, his skin was cool, but not lifeless. Not stone. Not monster. I can't change what they believe, he said. No, Elowen agreed. But we can decide what is true inside our lives. Mara lowered her gaze, voice soft with new understanding. I thought kindness had to be loud to be real. Sometimes it looks like oil in a lantern, Elowen said, waiting for a flame. Valerius's mouth curved, not quite a smile, but the beginning of relief. I will answer you next time, he said. Not with speeches, Elowen replied. Just don't disappear from me. I can try, he said, and the simplicity felt like a vow. They walked back toward the castle side by side, the guards trailing behind, uncertain what to do with a king who looked so quietly human. Near the gates, Elowen noticed small protective carvings set into the outer wall, simple village symbols, meant to bless a home. Did you carve those? She asked. A long time ago, Valerius admitted. When the first villagers came. Their winters were hard. I thought, perhaps they would sleep. And did they? They slept, he said. They still told stories. But they slept. At the doors, Mara bowed, not stiffly, but sincerely. I'm sorry I only ever looked for fangs, she whispered. Valerius inclined his head. It is easier to fear what you don't understand, he said. And safer, sometimes. Inside, Elowen guided him not to a sharp, distant throne, but to a simple chair by the hearth. Firelight warmed the room without asking questions. Servants pretended not to stare. For once, the castle felt less like a monument to fear and more like a place that could hold something gentle. Elowen sat across from him with a cup of tea, and let the silence settle, not the silence of abandonment, but the silence of shared breathing. Outside, the East Bridge lanterns glowed steadily over the river. Fishermen carried their catch home safely. Children would wake to morning without ever knowing how close the dark water had been. And in the quiet space between fear and truth, Elowen finally understood what the world could not, that kindness does not always announce itself. Sometimes it moves like a shadow that protects rather than harms, and it waits, patiently, silently, for someone brave enough to notice the light it leaves behind.